Hello, everyone. Welcome to our Monday call. I'm super excited to be with you today. And for those of you that don't know me, and I know a few of you in here, I see some very familiar names, but for those of you that don't know me, my name is Kim Shannon, and I am a master coach here at WildFit. And I did my WildFit challenge back in 2016, believe it or not. And I've been coaching since 2017. And I'm here today to tell you that it is absolutely possible to make this program work and to work for a very, very long time. I've been living WildFit for almost, I can't do math, 9 years now. So if you've ever sort of thought, oh, how do people make it work? I am kind of living proof that you can definitely do it for a very, very, very long time. I want to remind you guys that we are in the 5th week, starting the 5th week. So congratulations, well done. You are a month into this program. And as we know, Eric has said time and time again, most people last 6 days when they start a diet, and you are well over 30. So I want you guys to give yourselves a hand of applause. Congratulations to all of you. Well done. Keep it up. And I want to remind you that what we're doing is that we're tunneling sideways, right? We're making our way out of the POW camp. And sometimes it is a little bit difficult to see the light ahead. Maybe the light isn't actually there yet. And we don't want you to go back. We don't want you to go back to the POW camp. So if you're feeling a little frustrated, if you're feeling like there's a lot of restrictions and you can't see the end, I want to remind you to start to look for progress. Look for progress in ways other than perhaps what your initial goals coming into the program were. We are simply taking a break. We are taking a holiday from certain foods. And the reality is, what we're doing is we're giving our bodies that break. We're letting our bodies take a little bit of a rest because it's not having to work so hard to process all of the junk that we might have been putting into it up to, last week or the week before. So you're letting your pancreas take a little bit of a rest, but actually do some of the work that maybe it's backlogged. You're letting your liver and your kidneys and your digestive system take a little bit of a rest. So if you're feeling a little bit challenged right now, I want to remind you to trust the program. I'm living example that it is possible to be successful and maintain this. A few things I want to remind you about this week. I want you to be aware of potential sabotage, not just from you, but maybe from your friends or maybe from family members. I got to tell you, at about this point in the program, my mom had a conversation with my daughter telling her I was crazy, all the things that I was doing and what I wasn't eating and what I was eating. But the funny thing is that as I progressed and as I made changes and as I got results, she started to follow along. I never pushed her. We talked about it a little bit, talked about what I was doing, but she started to follow along. And the funny thing is, 2 or 3 years later, she'd say, I've always eaten like this. And I'd be like, no, you haven't, because I'm your daughter and you raised me, and that's not how we ate. But she fully believed that, and I wasn't going to burst her bubble. So she came along with me, didn't push her. I just kind of led the way. If you are feeling like people are thinking you're a little bit cuckoo, they don't understand what you're doing, just be patient. Just keep doing what you're doing. You don't need to explain yourself necessarily. And a lot of times when they start to maybe pressure you a little bit, like, well, just one small cookie or just one bite of this. Remember, not only, as Eric says, that's your food devil being portrayed by them, but also a lot of that is really more about them than about you. You might be changing. That might be a little bit threatening for them, the fact that you might change and you might leave them behind. So just be patient with your friends, and your family, stay strong. I also want you to really listen to the dialogue that you're having and really examine the personalities of the food devils, because as Eric said, the one that might have been the stronger maybe is kind of feeling a little bit defeated, and maybe another one is going to jump in and take their place. I have a food devil that is a 3-year-old toddler. Now, you know 3-year-old toddlers, and I know it's a 3-year-old toddler because I have a 3-year-old granddaughter who sometimes behaves like this. When she doesn't get her way, she might just cry. She might just cry and cry and cry and cry until hopefully we give in. Well, this is what my little toddler is like. When I've noticed that at times when sugar has crept back into my life, and I'm talking sugar from fruit and sugar from, sweet potatoes and zucchinis and things like that. And I'm starting to feel, I've got too much of that sugar going on, so maybe I should cut back. My little food deviler toddler has a hissy fit. He holds his breath and he stomps his feet and he makes it known that he's not happy with the fact that I've reduced the amount of sugar that's in my body. And one of his tricks is to make me feel really tired, because he thinks that if I'm really tired, then I might go get a sugar hit and boost up my energy. And I've learned that that's one of his little tricks. So patience, let him fuss it out, let him stomp his feet. Eventually, he'll get tired himself and he'll curl up for a nap, and my energy will come back because I know that that's what's going to happen in my body. So pay attention to the food devils that are talking to you and pressuring you to maybe make some decisions that are not right. And I also, as I mentioned earlier, I want you to start looking for progress. If weight loss was one of your goals for this program, we are not at the spot yet where people start to see weight being released. So don't get frustrated about that, but look for other things. Are you finding that it's easier to turn away from junk food? Yay! Are you finding that you are eating more good things and bad things? Yay! Are you finding that you are suffering from some of the detox symptoms that we told you about? Yay! All of that is good stuff. Remember that you have gut bacteria that might have been dominated by sugar. And as you are reducing the amount of sugar, that gut bacteria is changing and it doesn't like it. It's losing power. It's losing I'm in Canada, by the way. We're about to have an election, so it's losing that race, right? It's losing the election race. So it might be sending out some really strong calls to action, like eat more sugar because we need more troops down here in order to fight these other bacteria who happen to be the good guys coming in and taking over. So just be aware. You might have some cravings. You might have some of those symptoms, and they're simply turning up because your body is adjusting, and that's a great thing. So remember that we are building on all of those previous enhancements. So we're still taking a break from refined sugar. We're still taking a break from the grains, the seed oils, the dairy, the whole list of things. We're still adding in our fruit. We're still getting really good vegetables, lots of protein, good healthy fats. And this week, though, we're taking out processed foods. Now, I have found when my clients get told this, a lot of them will say, well, what do I eat now? Right? And what happens now is that if you're not used to it, it's time to get in the kitchen. It's time to start cooking. And I know a lot of you have been asking, where's the recipes? Have we got recipes? There are various Wild Fit resources out there. Some of those are in the Living Wild Fit program. Some of those are through cookbooks that we've produced. But what we really want you to do is to do a little bit of research and to do a little bit of experimenting. You can use Google, you can use Pinterest. Those are all great options to try and find some creative ideas. What I have found myself is that sometimes when clients finish this program, they still struggle. What am I supposed to do? I'm not sure how to sustain this. And, I'm not going to be in your kitchen after this. In fact, I'm not in your kitchen now, and neither is Eric. So we want you to know what to do next. And one of the ways that you can guarantee some success and longevity with this is to look for recipes yourselves and to try and experiment with spices and flavorings. Learning to cook and learning to find those recipes is a really great way to make sure that you are successful long after this program is done. And what you can do amongst yourselves is share those recipes, share the burden a little bit, right? But back to processed foods. What are processed foods, by the way? Processed foods are any food that is altered from its natural state. So take an example of a Swanson TV dinner. I'm hoping you guys all know what TV dinners are. They're frozen, you microwave them. They don't closely resemble the turkey and potatoes that they claim they do, or the steak and corn that they claim they do. It's really ultra processed food that if anybody told me that this was real food, I would have to, I don't know, throw it back in their face. So take, for example, TV dinners versus, say, a can of tomatoes. And in the can of tomatoes, the ingredients list is tomatoes and maybe some salt. The tomatoes are technically processed, but they are still recognizable as tomatoes, and they're very, very close to what they would be in nature. So yes, they're both processed foods, but we're really, really looking at those ultra processed foods, things that have artificial flavors and industrial oils and chemical additives and refined sugars and preservatives. And quite frankly, my rule is if I cannot pronounce the ingredients on the label, then I'm not going to eat it because I don't know what it is. We're also taking a break from alcohol. Now, for some of you, this might be really easy, and for others, it might be a little more difficult. The more concerned you are over having to take a break, about letting it go, then I would suggest the more you need to take that break. Remember, this is not for forever. This is simply a holiday, and it's a really good opportunity for you to really review what your relationship with alcohol is. And alcohol is often associated with social activity. So I get it. It's really hard when everybody else is drinking and you're not. And one of the reasons it's really hard is that we want to be accepted. We want to be part of a group. This is actually a survival strategy because being part of the tribe gave you a much better chance of survival. Being ostracized by the tribe often meant death. So we naturally want to be included. And sometimes in order to be included, we have to follow the crowd in order, we want to feel like we're part of the group. So taking out alcohol sometimes makes us feel like we're separating ourselves from the group. And we're not really, but that's how we feel. Optionally this week, we are also letting go of caffeine and nicotine. So if you are choosing to let go of nicotine right now, then I strongly suggest that you focus on your breathing exercises. Again, this might be an easier challenge for some and difficult for others, but focus on those breathing exercises and really pay attention to the unconscious habits you might have around smoking. I have a friend that smokes while he's driving, and I've been with him in the car where he has put a cigarette out, and then 3 minutes later he's lit up another one, and I'll say, "Did you know you just finished one?" "I did." "Oh, I hadn't even noticed." Because it's such an unconscious habit that when he's driving a car, he smokes. So pay attention if you're letting go of it this week to some of those unconscious habits that you might have that might trip you up a little bit. And if you're letting go of caffeine, then again, I want you to look back on what are your rules? What rules have you established around having coffee or tea or whatever form of caffeine that you're having? My rule was that my husband and I would sit out on our back deck on the summer mornings and have our coffees and watch the sun come up and listen to the neighborhood come alive, come awake. And I struggled with not having a coffee in the morning because of that habit, that ritual. And then I realized if I don't have a coffee in my hand, I'm pretty sure the sun's still coming up. And I'm pretty sure the neighborhood is still waking up. And I can still enjoy that ambiance I don't need the coffee in my hand to do it. It made no difference, right? So for your day-to-day living, having caffeine for a boost, you don't really need it. But it might be difficult for your body to let go of it for a bit. I recommend that if you're kind of on the fence and thinking, maybe I should, maybe I shouldn't, I recommend that you try it for at least a week and see how it goes. I know that when I stopped drinking coffee, I immediately had less difficulty falling asleep, and I immediately slept longer and deeper. And when I let go of coffee, I got to tell you that my dad taught me to drink coffee with cream and sugar. In Canada, for those of you who go to Tim Hortons, that would be known as a double double. So when we let go of refined sugar, I had to take the sugar out of my coffee, but I didn't want to give the coffee up at that point. So I just had it with cream. And then when we let go of dairy, and you know, it was okay. I mean, I got used to it not being sweet. But then when we let go of dairy, you know, I tried it with almond milk. Blech, it's awful. And then when we let go of, so then I tried it black, and that was even worse. So letting go of it by that point in time wasn't a difficult decision for me to make, because I realized I really don't like the taste of coffee. And there's been a few times where I've had a coffee in the last couple of years and taken a couple of sips and gone, what? Why again? Why am I having this? Like, it really doesn't taste good, especially if you're not having sugar in it. So, you know, do your best to let it go. And I did find, by the way, that I didn't get those headaches that I was expecting, because I think it was, we let go of sugar a couple of weeks ago and I had a few headaches there. So when we let go of coffee, I had a little bit of a headache, but it wasn't bad. So take the plunge, go for it, trust. Buffer zone. So we are live with these enhancements as of today, but you had a weekend to kind of play around. And I'm going to tell you a funny story, because I'm going through this challenge with you. And on Saturday, we had reservations to go out to a new restaurant with some friends, and I was having some dialogue around, do I have a drink with dinner or do I not? I mean, we're supposed to be letting it go. I don't often have a drink. It's not that big of a deal, but there's the social aspect, and I'm going to be with friends and they're probably going to have a drink. Should I let go now? Should I ride it out? And I thought, no, I'm going to, you know what? I'm going to enjoy myself. I'm going to have a glass of wine with dinner, because it's only going to be one. It's not going to be excessive. And we got to the restaurant and we found out that they were so brand new that they didn't have a liquor license. And I thought, the wild fig gods are speaking to me and letting me know that I should let it go now. So the universe aligned and kind of took the decision away from me, but I wasn't all that upset about it either. All right, so today we're about to open up the floor. If you want to speak to me and get some advice, raise your electronic hand. Please make sure you have your cameras on. Please make sure you have your names so that we don't talk to iPhone user 87 or, you know, iPad user 22. And if you're driving, we cannot speak to you unless you pull over. I want you to start your conversation with me with a win, or even if you don't think you have a win, something that you learned about yourself, because quite frankly, that's a win. So start with something positive. I want to know, how did you play the buffer zone? Did you learn anything about yourself? Did you learn anything about the process? Did you learn anything about the attachment to these particular foods? And then I want to hear your questions or concerns about this week. I got to tell you, I've listened in on all of the calls, and I'm super impressed by our alumni and how you really want to go deeper and you really want to learn so much more. That is so fantastic. But sometimes your questions are a little complex and are, quite honestly, beyond the scope of this program at this point. And I really want to make sure that those of you who are new to the program, that are going through it the first time, really fully understand what these program enhancements are all about. So today, let's focus on what you need to know in order to make your way through this week successful. And for our alumni, if you've got a really detailed question, a really complex question, then what I would really like you to do is either reach out through the community to see if we can get you some answers, or find one of our amazing coaches that can give you some personalized attention. Does that make sense to everybody? I hope so. My goal today is to make sure that you are set up for success for this week. All right, are we clear on that? Thumbs up. Awesome. I'm ready to take some questions. Who's first?
All right, we're gonna go to Nancy.
Hi, Nancy.
Hi, good morning, Kim. Um, I'm one of those folks, third time actually, but I will say the processed food this week for me, I had a little question in my mind. I had a big success for me last night was my birthday. Well, it's my birthday today, but last night we had a big family gathering and uh, this year I was struggling with my sugar monster coming into this weekend. I was looking at how Eric was asking us to look at it differently. I tend to be one of those folks. I'm like, yep, Monday morning I'm in, but I very rarely over the weekend think about the buffer zone. So it was a really him making that challenge this week for me was I was like, hmm. And usually on my birthday, I'd already said I wasn't having cake. And my mother, everyone was like, oh, but I can bring sweets. And I was like, I said to my brother, I was like, nobody's bringing it. I'm dealing with my sugar monster. I can't do it. And but just a lot of thinking around that. But we had I know this a little much, but I had chips. We not chips, cassava chips specifically, which very processed. That was sort of my last go. But what I recognized last night is I really struggled when I got home because I was like, I had this great meal. We had like six vegetables. We had like a curry that I loved and all of these things. But I'm like, and no processed food. But when I really, except for the chips that were around with sour cream. And so it was, I recognized it was a struggle. I came home and I ended up by having another bowl of chips and some sour cream, knowing Monday was the next morning. And I had actually thought for the weekend I was going to pass it without it. And so I was a little bit like, I caught myself feeling a little guilty about nobody else getting sweets or the alcohol or things like that. And I was like, wow, my brain is like, I'm still learning a lot of things, is what I really wanted to say. I think there was a lot of wins, but it was also a lot of insights because and you said something this morning, Kim, that I really like, and that is that um you know it's getting outside processed food. And I thought, oh, I have lots of recipes of things that I can do without having to go. Hummus would be a small example this week where I usually buy my hummus, but I know there's some things in there I shouldn't be doing. So I was like, are we allowed processed foods at all? Yes, if we do them, I think and that's my question, right? Is that as long as I'm making the processed food and I know what's in there, we're good with that. Is that
That is bang on. So that
okay?
is still home cooking, right? Because
Yeah.
when you, again, even, and it's so easy to make hummus and it's so easy to make mayonnaise. All
Yeah.
those, I get a lot of clients that say, but what about my dips and my sauces and my dressings? Those are easy, easy, easy to make.
Yeah.
So yes, if you're making it at home and you're cooking in your kitchen and you know exactly what is going into that, that's good. That's perfect. I want to congratulate you though on having a birthday without the sweets. How did that feel?
Oh, freeing, to be honest, because I felt that I'm trying to change my habits around old, like, oh, it's a birthday. And, um, last Saturday, the family got together and my sister-in-law was, there was four of us and three people got cakes and she brought me a candle, like a really nice scented candle to blow out, which I thought was nice because I still
Yep.
got the happy birthday. We still got the sense of it. And then yesterday, because there was no cake, nobody remembered about any happy birthday or this. So I was like, okay, you guys. I was I was like, maybe next year we can just add that piece in. Because there is some tradition. It's like it's nice to have the gathering. But overall it was quite freeing because uh, I don't want to go back. I lost 55 pounds in the first two rounds um and then gained back about 15, 20 because of I'm going to say my sugar monster. And so coming back around, I'm like, oh, there's a last food freedom that I really require and desire. And so I'm really committed. And the whole processed foods, like I said, I was busy and I haven't listened to the one this morning.
Mhm.
And I was like, was like, I'm pretty sure we can make processed food. We just can't buy it in the store. So that was my
100%. Yeah.
main thing. Thanks, Kim.
That's amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for sharing. And for everybody, I mean, this is a really great example of an opportunity to look at the rules. And I think Nancy called it traditions, right? The rules, the habits, the traditions that we have around food and certain occasions, right?
Yeah.
So birthdays mean cake, and not having cake means that I don't get a birthday. Like,
Well, it touches on the chocolate because I don't do caffeine in coffee, but I mean, I definitely make my own chocolate things so that I don't have processed sugar in it, that there's things I've learned to do that they're not bought outside, but they're
right.
certainly challenging my caffeine side of things and my sugar side of things. So they're all happily, you know, on a break from for the moment, and I want to have that better relationship when I come out this end.
Yep.
That's one of the relationships. So my birthday, no cake, I'm good.
Well done, well done.
Okay.
And you know what? Moving forward, we're going to keep working on those relationships with foods, and then how do we make it work in real life when this whole thing is over? So thank you, Nancy, so much for
Thank
sharing.
you. Thank you.
Okay,
Who we got next?
Svetlana. Let's go to Svetlana.
Amazing. Hey, Svetlana, how are you? You are still on mute. Oh, there we go.
Can you hear me now?
I can.
Okay. So in terms of wins, when we talk about dessert, I have a wonderful yogurt made of what's it called? It's cocos. Cocos. It's a yogurt made of cocos and ground up walnuts.
Okay.
So and that made my dessert. It's like an ice cream. It's really yummy.
Okay.
And there is
Okay.
nothing, no sugar, nothing there, but it tastes like amazing. And another win is I had a buffer zone matcha tea, green tea with almond milk.
Mhm.
And it's kind of like, okay, I have it, and then I don't have it next week. So it's kind of like was uh, a moment where I say, okay, I'm using this buffer zone. I have it. I enjoy it. I remember the taste, and then I just let it go. I think
Perfect way
that's
to
a
use the
win.
buffer zone.
Yeah, I think that's a win. And then in terms of the questions, I am using avocado oil.
Mhm.
So is it good or not? I'm just kind of like, I'm confused a bit.
Yep.
Should
Yep. Nope. That's perfect. Much better.
Okay.
Much better than your vegetable oils or your seed
Yeah.
oils you might have been using
Okay.
before. Avocado
That's
oil is.
one.
Yep.
Yeah.
You're all
Okay.
good.
Thank you.
Oh,
And second question is, it's not about me eating cookies or bread or whatever. I'm not eating those for a long time, but it's eating a lot of, even though the food is good, I eat 2 plates instead of 1. Like
mhm.
I eat and then I sit and say, okay, I need more. And I put the same amount and I eat again. And then I snack. And when you snack, you just kind of like, it's a healthy snack,
Mhm.
but you eat one more snack. And then in the end, I'm just chewing whole day through. Like, I don't know, like a cow. I'm just chewing and chewing something. And I think the problem with me is not the kind of the type of food, but the amount that I'm consuming unstoppably. And it's just kind of like, I don't know why am I doing it, and I don't know how to stop.
You know, and I think a lot of people get very worried about amount because we always equate amount to calories, and we've been told that we shouldn't eat too many calories, and that, you know, we need to control our portions. And realistically, when you're controlling your portions and you're counting your calories, I mean, that's almost more restrictive than what I'm going to suggest, which is listen to your body, and when it's full, it's full. And if it's you know, still hungry, then continue down that path. But want you to go back to some of the things that we talked about in week 1, which was like our food timeline. How is it tasting? How are you feeling? And the 6 different hungers, because empty stomach hunger, nutritional hunger, hunger for thirst, variety, these are all things that often come into play. So, paying attention, are you really hungry? Right? Is that a feeling of hunger that's causing you to then go and have a snack? Or is it something
No.
else? Is it maybe more emotional? And quite frankly, I got to tell you, the largest emotion that we battle is boredom. That was mine. I even sitting down at night and watching television, I would still feel like I was bored, and I still felt that I needed to go eat something. But if I stopped and really went sort of through, did a little bit of a body scan, how's my stomach feeling? How's my taste buds in my mouth feeling? Am I missing something? I would realize I'm not hungry. There's something else there. So examine some of those 6 hungers, and bring that mindfulness back in. Even as you're snacking, slow it down, really taste it. Use your food timeline. How does food taste? Is it still tasting the same at bite 7 as it did at bite 1? Is it still tasting the same at bite 2? Did you suddenly look down into the bowl of whatever it was you're eating and whatever it is gone because you weren't even paying attention? So slow down that process a little bit. But with respect to sort of having the 2 plates, I'm not sure, what's on your plates or what you're considering to be healthy eating. But I can tell you, and Eric alluded to it today, that we have one more change coming up at the end of this week. And as we get into that section of the program, I would encourage you to, eat till you're full, because you're going to be eating really, really good stuff, and not worry about the amount, because what's going to be going in, your body's going to be able to use all of it. Does that help a little bit?
Yeah, thank you so much. Mindful eating is very important for me. Yeah, I probably am distracted with all the, life challenges. Yeah.
And habits. I mean, I got to tell you, if you ever listen to me talk in any other forum, I love to talk about the habits and the rules and the traditions that we have around food. But sometimes those habits are they're unconscious, right? We just reach and we do things because that's what we've always done. So pay attention. This is a really great time to just really focus on that relationship that you have with those snacky foods and decide whether or not, 1, you're hungry. 2, is this just a habit? What are my emotional needs that maybe I'm trying to fill by having these?
Okay. Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Thank you for sharing. Good to see you.
Thanks.
All right, we are going to go to Shirley.
Good morning.
Hi, Shirley.
Hi.
How are you this morning or afternoon? Sorry, it is afternoon.
It's still morning here over in Alberta.
Fellow Canadian.
Yes.
Yep.
Yep. So a win over the weekend is that I've learned that I'm substituting social media right now for the chips and the wine. So deleting the chips, deleting the wine, not an issue. And you had mentioned the writ being dropped for the election. So there's way too much going on in Canada
Yep.
about this right now. And it's a concerning time. So, but I think it's a win that I'm going, okay, I've got the TV on, but I'm not watching it. I'm doom scrolling. And
Like that.
I picked it up from someone else. It's not a food timeline thing, but it's almost in a way like a food devil, if that makes sense. And I'm an alumni. I went through WildFit during COVID, and because there was no social get-togethers, it was very easy to go through the weeks without really thinking about it.
Yep.
And so this time I'm trying a lot harder to really think about what I'm doing, because I really want to sustain it this time. This weekend in the buffer zone, I have been fighting in my brain about the one coffee that I have in the morning with coconut milk. And I'm finding I'm eating a tremendous amount of fruit and the alkagizer, and I'm freezing afterwards. So I've been using the coffee to warm up. And the coconut milk, I found one brand of coconut milk that has 0.05% of polysorbate, whatever the number is. And I use coconut milk in cooking quite a bit. So I need some ideas about, is the 0.05% acceptable, or just get rid of it altogether? Is after the last Wild Fit, I turned to coconut milk for a lot of my cooking, for soups and
Yep.
stews and that sort of thing. So I'd like some help with that, and the whole thing about 0.05%, and the
Yeah.
rest is coconut.
Yeah. I'm not I'm not really going to give you a solid answer, because
Yeah.
what I'm going to say, and this is for everybody, you guys are all adults, and you're going to need to make some decisions around this program and around your relationship with food and around the kinds of foods that you eat and moving forward that are going to be very unique to your situation. So it really, Shirley, I would say, and for everybody, always try to get the best quality products that you can get, whether it's the best cut of meat or the freshest vegetables or the best option that you have for coconut milk. So if you think that that is your best option and it's a far healthier version of whatever dish you're making than you would have made in the past, that might be worth consideration, and that might carry a little bit of weight for you. So does that make sense? I can't tell you if you should or shouldn't. You need to make that decision. I hate
Yeah.
throwing it back to you, right? But you need to make that decision based on what you have in front of you and what's going on in your life and what the options are for you to choose from. We're never going to be perfect. Wild Fit is not about perfection. It's just about moving forward, getting better, and making the best choices that we can for our bodies. But did you want to add to that? Because I've got another point I want to make with you.
Okay. Oh, I'm seeing somebody said Costco has coconut milk without the preservatives. I'll look. I haven't found it
Yep.
in my Costco here in Alberta, but yeah, it does make sense. And I know from trying other coconut milks that this particular one actually tastes like coconut.
Mm-hmm.
So
So you're pretty happy with it. Yeah. And I wanted to sort of comment on
and
the
I
fact that,
and I know Wild Fit is not prescriptive.
right. Yeah.
So
And you know what, and again, as we move forward, you all have to be really comfortable with how you take the tools that we're giving you and the resources that we're giving you and fitting that into your own lives. My life, I'm sure, is very, very different from yours. So what works for me may not work for you. What works for you may not work for me. It's a question of making it fit into your lifestyle and making really, really good decisions, the best decisions that you can each and every day. The social media thing, that's pretty interesting. And one of the things that we've learned with our clients is that when we talk about being mindful and better choices, and we do all that based around food and nutrition, it often spills out into other aspects of our lives, and we become more mindful, more conscious around other things. So I want to congratulate you on the fact that you've identified that social media and the things that are going on in Canada and how we pay attention to that has kind of taken the place of something else. But now your job is to make some decisions around, is that good for me? Is that healthy for me? Because that's still all about health, right? It might not be about food going in our bodies, but it's certainly about stress management, mental health, all of those things that go along with social media and overdoing of social media. So I want to encourage you to take some of the tools that obviously you've learned and apply it to that part of your life as well, and not overdo the social media piece,
I know.
despite all of the plethora of things that are out there and inundating us.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So with the change, just one other thing that I can think of right now is, with Eric saying eat lots of fruit.
Mhm.
And I have taken that to heart. And so I'm eating a big plate of a mix of different fruits and berries and
Mhm.
having my alkagizer, and then thinking, okay, I'm full.
Mhm.
And before I finish it, and then thinking, but I need some protein to get me through to lunch.
Right.
And I've been thinking, is that just a food rule?
I was just going to say, do you really need protein before lunch or to get you through to lunch? Like, where does that, I would encourage you, where does that come from?
Well, I think it comes from a tradition, and growing up, the traditional breakfast was rotating through different kinds of porridge through the week,
Mhm.
with milk and brown sugar.
Oh, my favorite.
Favorite. And the cream of wheat, not so much. The oats,
Mhm.
that was good. And so, I was taught the milk is the protein. You got the carbs. You got your roughage. So you can get a hint of my age group just by the terminology.
I'm there.
I'm there. So I think it's a mix of, you're saying habits, rules, and traditions.
Mhm.
So I think it's coming from that, because I have in this past week had just the fruit and the alkagizer and done some stuff around the house, and then taken my dog out for a hilly walk for over an hour
Mhm.
and didn't pass out. So obviously I had enough of the good stuff.
Mhm. Yeah.
So it's just really challenging, even at this point, having gone through this process before, to think about this and to try and switch.
Mhm.
So, because before, in the okay, I probably shouldn't mention this because we're not there yet.
Right. But okay, so but this is exceptional for you, because even though you're still struggling a little bit, you've already done at least one experiment where you've not felt the need, or haven't gone and had your protein, haven't followed your rules and your traditions, and everything was good. You were fine. You made it to lunch. You didn't pass out with the dog. I would encourage you to keep doing that and to keep examining, where is it coming from? Why am I feeling like I need to do this? And do I really need to do it? What is my body telling me? Can I tell you, your body speaks volumes all the time. Most of the time we don't listen. But as we go through this program, and as you get used to getting those messages and paying attention to those messages, they're going to come loud and clear. And I think what your body is telling you right now is, I'm good with what you're doing. I'm getting what I need. Um, I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna faint on you. And then, you've got options for lunch and dinner, right? That probably include some protein.
Well, and that brings up something too about rules. You have 3 meals a day,
Mhm.
and I'm often finding, I'm not hungry. Why am I making supper?
Mhm.
I'm making supper so that I'm not ravenous at 9 p.m.
Right.
So I don't know. Do I need supper or?
Well, and again, because I'm not in your kitchen and I'm not really seeing what you're eating through the day, but I would make sure that you're getting in all the things that we're telling you to get in. You're getting in some good quality protein, some lots of healthy fats, you know, your vegetables and your fruit, lots and lots of water. And if you're doing that, let your body help you determine when you need to be eating. But don't skip something and don't miss out on some of the things that we've told you need to go in.
Thank you. Yeah, I don't feel like I'm doing the skipping food because I'm on a diet.
Right.
You know, like my brain is not there.
Mhm.
So it's just, you know, I've been busy. I'm not hangry.
Yep. Have you got some good healthy snacks that you're kind of munching on during the course of the day?
Well, last week when I was at Costco, I bought dried dates.
And did you look
And
at the ingredients?
yeah, it's just dates.
Okay, good.
Yep. And I bought some pistachios,
Mhm.
pistachios and salt.
Yep.
I'm really annoyed that shopping for olives, which are a good source of, to me, a good source of healthy oil,
Mhm.
that most of them are jarred with seed oils.
Yeah,
I went like,
I know.
yeah.
So it's important to try and ask questions when we can, especially if you're shopping in a place where you can, you know, they're the self-serve, like you can just pop in as many, because I don't know necessarily what they're sitting in either. So the more information that we can get about what they're in, the better. So anyway, you are on track though. It sounds like you've got much more awareness. You're moving forward. I'm super excited for you. Well done. Thanks for sharing, Shirley.
Thank you.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, we have JP.
Hey, hi JP.
Hello,
How
can
are
you hear
you
me?
today? Yep.
I'm doing good. Yeah, so you wanted some wins first. Well, I've noticed that my energy levels have like gone stable at this point. So throughout the day I don't get the highs and lows that much. That has
Mm-hmm.
been a good thing. And the last weekend I was actually working in a event that is like 3-4 hour drive, and usually on the car drives I get a lot of candies, and this time I decided that okay, I'm gonna get some grapes and some bananas and stuff like that for the ride, and that went actually quite smooth, and I realized how sweet the grapes actually were. So it's working right. The
Your taste
question that
buds are
I
changing already. That's amazing.
Yeah, I know, and I've been through this program like 8 years, 9 years ago, so I know the changes that are coming, and I'm waiting for that. But the one question that I have right now, I do have this diagnosis for type 2 diabetes, and I know that you don't give like medical advice here, but I'm on Ozempic, and
Mhm.
I would like to get out of that, and I was thinking that I've noticed that my sugar levels, although I eat a lot of fruits,
Mhm.
have been going down all time when I take it in the morning, and they are now pretty much lower than like in years. And I was thinking that would this week be good to start phasing out the Ozempic?
That I love that goal of yours, and you know, having been through this before, that this you are in the right place. Like this program, we know can help reverse type 2 diabetes. People have phenomenal results. And I've worked with clients myself who have gotten off their medication. So I love that goal for you. That's fantastic. But that honestly is a conversation you need to have with your doctor, because you know, but what I would say is this might be a good week to have that conversation and see whether or not your doctor would say, yeah, this is a time where we can make an adjustment to it. So is it a good week to make the adjustment? I don't know, but is it a good week to have the conversation? Absolutely.
Okay, thanks.
Well done. Thanks so much, JP.
Right.
I
We have
see one more hand.
Meredith, if she can
Meredith
turn
doesn't have her camera on.
Mm, there she is.
There we go. Hi, Meredith.
Oh, yay, I'm unmuted. Okay.
You are.
Hello. So great to be here with you. I came on actually to talk about wins, and one of them is exactly what the previous person was, or two previous people were talking about. My body has really started talking to me. So this,
Yay.
I know. So this is the second time for me. And the first time was much more about uncovering motivations and what were the emotions behind my need to eat, etc. This time, when I went into it and I did the first 2 weeks, I decided to play full out again, even though I had already done it. And I said,
Mhm.
well, if I want to play full out, then obviously that's what I need to be doing.
Yep.
And I felt like my body was resentful, resigned, angry, defeated, like all of these horrible feelings. And I kept eating this stuff and taking notes, but it was just very clear to me that it was unhappy. And when I got to eliminate sugar, and then with the dairy and grains, it was just so easy because my body is happier.
Yep.
It's lighter. It's like everything, my joints are better. But I mean, it's as if, I don't know how to explain it, but beyond saying that, as if my body is almost like a separate person speaking to me and saying, this is what I need.
Yeah.
And the emotional needs that I was shoving down or trying to fill with food were not going to be filled that way. And that I didn't need the food to feel safe or entertained or whatever. So that's really where I am. I also loved what you were saying about the coconut milk. Like, you're not going to give directives for every single thing that we eat and do, and that we need to find what works for us. I found that the last time after I finished, I had a very hard time playing, feeling like I was playing a zero-sum game. Either I did it all the way completely
Mhm.
well, or I wasn't, uh,
Yeah.
I was a failure. And so this time coming back into it, it's really interesting to be able to shift that to be more gentle with myself and also more realistic. You know,
Yep.
what works, what doesn't. And I can only do that by actually getting in tune with my body and what works with it.
Yeah. 100%. 100%. And what I love about this program is that there is no, you are doing it wrong once the program's finished and you're trying to adapt all this to your real life. There's no wrong, there's no right, there's no wrong. And all we really want you to do is just to be aware, and that if you're going to experiment, to do it under the conditions that Eric has set out, right? You need to be in a good place. You need to pay attention to the food timeline. You need to be learning something from it. So, on occasion, when I was young, I grew up next to Italian neighbors, like, and they made homemade pastas and homemade sauces and and their kitchen, their summer kitchen vent was right by our backyard, and you could smell it. And I used to try to finagle my way to go to church with them on Sunday so that I could go to their grandmother's house, because you know that they had a plethora of food and it was amazing. So I love pasta. But then, of course, as I got older and started to cook, my pasta was from a package, right? It was nowhere near what they created. And so one of my sort of rules is that if I'm going to have pasta, then it's going to have to be like absolutely the freshest made pasta that I can find, which means I don't have it very often. Now, the other day, I had an opportunity to have some pasta, and it really was quite good pasta. And I noticed I wasn't even finished my meal when my body sent a very strong message that it did not appreciate this pasta. And I'm like, what? You've never done that before. But I have to tell you, I was really uncomfortable for about 2 hours as I had to wait it out and just listen to my body going, don't do that. I don't like it. I don't want you to have that. So when and you know this, when you are become aware of the messages, like they come loud and clear. So I love the fact that you are really becoming aware of what you, especially when you did the 2 weeks and it rebelled, you know, and you tried to beat it down and it said, no, no, I hate this stuff. Stop doing that. So I encourage all of you, listen to your bodies, right? Get the messages. And that's how we learn. I now know I'm not having that pasta again, ever.
Yeah, I grew up on fast food and like my mom didn't cook. So we constantly, so I learned to override. Like, and I think I've been living my life on override. So the fact that what you just said exactly is that, like, once the messages start coming in,
Can't
I
turn 'em off.
don't, it's like, yeah, it's like you can't deafen yourself to them now.
Yep.
So that's positive. Thank you so much.
Thanks for your wins and your shares, Meredith. And I think we've got time for one more. And I see Bonnie's got her hand up.
Good afternoon, Kim. It's so
Hey,
good.
Bonnie.
Hey. Hello, everyone. Let's see. Yeah, Meredith. Oh my goodness. I share you. I share what you're feeling. Had the same experience, but my body now yells at me angrily. So yeah, I guess the win this week, I want to share that I walked my dog with a lovely neighbor, and I said to her the other day, I said, I really am trying to up my vegetables this week. And she asked me, she said, well, what's your favorite? And I said, oh goodness. I said, I really like them all, bok choy, broccoli, cauliflower. I said, and she brought over to my house and then a huge pan of roasted vegetables. Wasn't that the most? I was so taken by that my friends and family are so supportive of that. I mean, that was just. I I don't know if she knew how kind and generous that was, but it really touched me. So hang in there, folks. People are listening. People are watching. This week, I'm working on patience. I think this is a good week in the challenge to take a breath and realize that overnight success is a big fat lie.
Yep.
And so I'm working on patience this week. Hope everyone else, and I'm going to send out some heartfelt patience to everyone and realize that there are people that you don't even know who are supportive of making changes in your life, because normally people hate change.
Yep.
And so does and and our body rebels against change. It wants the old, it wants the safe, it wants the familiar. So every time we try something new, it goes, wait a minute, what is this? So hands up to everybody, thumbs up, keep at it. I'm going to be patient with myself this week, and I'm going to enjoy that plate of vegetables so much.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that and that reminder that this is not about overnight success. That is so key. And I use this word, and coaches use this word. This is a journey. You are on a journey. And I've been on this journey for 9 years. It is not over for me yet. I still have my moments, but I've learned how to experiment properly and make sure that I'm listening to my body. And then even when I kind of eat something that maybe I shouldn't, and my body's telling me I shouldn't, I'm not off track. I didn't fall off the wagon. There's no wagon for me to have fallen off. I just go back to eating the way I did yesterday and the way I'm going to eat tomorrow and the next day. So I want to encourage all of you. And again, Bonnie, thank you so much for sharing that, and great wins. And it's surround yourself with like-minded people. We have that African proverb: if you want to go fast, go alone, but if you want to go far, go together. So find people that are going to support you, that believe in what you believe in. And even if they don't want to go down the journey with you, understand the journey that you're going down and can help you, help support you. Like I said, my mom thought I was cuckoo. But in the end, we ate the same and we supported one another. So I want to thank all of you for joining me today. We are at time. How's that for perfection? We don't aim for perfection here, but we are at time. We have some great enhancements coming on Friday. Don't worry about that yet. Focus on this week. Focus on making sure you're removing those ultra processed foods. take a little bit of a break from alcohol, take a little bit of a break from caffeine if you think you need to, take a bit of a break from nicotine if you think you need to, keep all those other enhancements going. You guys got this. You are doing phenomenal, and I can't wait to see how you guys manage over the next couple weeks. I will see you all soon.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Have a
Bye.
nice evening,
Bye,
afternoon,
Alma.
morning.
Again, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.